any echo at all? Is there an echo? Is there an echo, ladies and germs? No! We did it! We did it! Now, for those of you that are just tuning in, we actually tried to do this stream, or maybe you're watching after the fact. We tried to do this stream before, and I was using Wirecast, which is the software that I use for Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. But for some reason, there was an echo. So I restarted my computer, put Wirecast over there for a moment, because obviously I can't figure it out on the fly because I got a show, right? And then I just moved over to OBS, which is the free software. Now, OBS, I find sometimes, I don't know what it is with OBS, sometimes you might find that I might freeze up for just a moment or two, but just don't worry, it won't take too long to get me back, and you might see me going, oh, wait, are we back? Okay, we're back. But at least there's no echo, which is good. So bear with me, guys. I think you guys are amazing. The fact that now we don't have an echo, and now I feel more sort of like my mind is not preoccupied by making sure that there's no echo and shit like that. Let's do this again, but let's give the Coles Notes version, okay? So, or Coles Notes, that's up here in Canada. I don't know what you guys have down there in the States. It's not Crib Notes. What's the, the compartmentalized shit you can buy for high school and stuff like that? What the hell are they called? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So here is the summed up version. Hey, for all of you guys who watched my Halloween concept video, idea video the other day, Cliff Notes, there you go. Okay, awesome. Well, up here we call them Coles Notes. I don't know. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. The feedback has been largely positive. I think you guys are amazing. And remember to keep in mind that was a basic blueprint, right? Like there's some people will get in touch with me and will be like, hey, what about this? What about that? I thought that person, was underdeveloped and this, that, and the other. Well, remember, every single scene that would appear in my movie didn't appear in my, I didn't talk about every single moment of every single scene. So there would no doubt be more moments with Tommy. There would no doubt be a few more moments with Karen and Allison. But I know there are some fans who are big fans of the 2018 movie that when they listen to my concept, they may have been surprised to learn that I actually didn't really develop Karen and Allison further. And I didn't do that on purpose. It was because I didn't really find Karen and Allison that interesting in the 2018 film. I mean, every character in that movie was atrociously developed. Really, at the end of the day, because every single character in that movie, apart from Laurie, was brand new. It was Laurie's story. It's always been Laurie's story. So when I, approach this concept idea of, okay, this is going to be the last Halloween film as we know it in this timeline, right? When I made that choice, when I knew that that's what I was going to go with, I wasn't going to start developing Karen and Allison and, pushing them because there's nothing to push them towards, right? This is still Laurie's story. It's always been about Laurie and Michael. It's Rocky and Adrian. It's Luke and Vader, right? I mean, that's what it is. So I knew that I wanted to focus more on Laurie again. But in my concept, for those of you, and I'll take your questions as well in terms of maybe there's something you want me to clear up on in my concept, I can do that as well. As well as, obviously, I'm going to take any other questions you guys have, obviously. So in my concept, I know it was heavily focused on Tommy, Laurie, and Brackett because that is the main focus. But you're probably going to get a few more scenes with Karen and Allison. So you Karen and Allison fans, definitely, I'm going to push them a bit more than probably I talked about in my concept video, but they're not necessarily more developed or more interesting in this movie than they were in the last movie. They're just kind of like the same. So they're like, okay, but it was the ending of the movie or the ending of my idea. Again, I'm just going to start calling it my movie. Okay. Even though it's not a movie, I'm just for the sake of not saying the sequel concept video idea. The ending of my movie was the pinnacle moment. That was that was what I needed to figure out. I mean, for you writers in the chat room or filmmakers, you know that you can have, like, thinking of ideas is not difficult. Connecting those ideas, little more difficult. But bringing all those ideas home, the hardest part about writing. The hardest part about writing, at least for me, is figuring out the ending. I can begin a story, I can tease a story, I can connect sequence of events, but bringing it all home in a really satisfying way is really difficult. So when I was thinking of how to end this movie, I knew that I wanted to connect it to the original. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to connect it to the original. So for those of you that may have been a little confused in terms of the Sandy character and the fact that she looks like, you know, Judith, there is a video on my channel now, and it has been up there for a couple of days. It's got close to 10,000 views itself, I think, where I talk about the different layers. We needed to bring Halloween to a level it's never been, right? Yes, it's a slasher movie. Yes, it's a popcorn horror movie, and you can enjoy it on that level. We all can enjoy it on that level, right? We can sit down, we can have some popcorn. You and I can sit down and have a couple of drinks and have some chips or whatever and really enjoy just, you know, what it is on a surface. But when you're wrapping everything up, I knew that if I didn't go this way, if I didn't bring Halloween to this level, nobody would find it satisfying. And everybody would be waiting for the next movie, right? Because you can't kill the boogeyman, really, at the end of the day. So you have to do it in a very specific way that even hardcore fans can appreciate. And hardcore fans that want Michael Myers to go on and on and on can maybe look at each other and go, you know what, I'm actually okay with that. Like, I actually feel satisfied because it's rich with layers and character. I don't want to say it's rich with character development. I think that's too strong of a saying, but it's in terms of the Laurie character, you feel that her arc is complete because of the layers that I present. So just quickly now. So again, a show of hands. Sorry about this. I did this before I had to change the feed. A show of hands now in the chat room. Who understood the ending of my concept when I was rolling out the Judith character? Who understood that, wait a minute, there's a little more than it's just a character that looks like Judith that's baiting Michael? I'd be really curious to know. That's great. That's great to see so many people that understood that. I think that's awesome. Because on the surface, it looks like I'm just recreating what they did in Halloween 5, right? That I'm just simply, you know, because look what Loomis did, right? He took Jamie and he put her in the Myers house, right? And doing the thing and all that kind of stuff. But that's not what was going on at face value. On the surface, it was. But there were some people that said, well, why couldn't Judith have been Allison? Because it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked. Because it needed to be, Sandy, excuse me. Why did the girl have to look like, why did we have to have this character that looked like Judith for it to work? Because Laurie needed the symbol, right? Mathematics and symbols are a universal language. And when Laurie, who's been studying the Halloween, you know, the shape and Myers and for years and years and years, we would know in this movie, even though I didn't go into great detail on it, we would definitely know that Laurie has been obsessed. It's been her whole life. 40 years. It's her whole life. She's been waiting for this moment. So we know that she's clear. She knows what Judith looks like. Her face would have been in a newspaper back in the day. Maybe even she's got a few, you know, cutouts of what she looked like. Maybe in anniversaries since then, they've shown her picture on TV. Do you know what I mean? Like, Laurie knows what Judith Myers looks like. So when she sees this girl that looks like Judith in the closet, right? And that's another connection. She's found in a closet. Laurie, who's always known on a subconscious level that she's the one that needs to bring down the shape. It's her fate. It's her destiny. It's her destiny. She doesn't know. She can't necessarily intellectualize it verbally to you in a casual conversation, but it's just that she knows, right? It's like that example I used in the video that I uploaded where I talked about the ending in Return of the Jedi, when Luke is talking to Leia and telling her that you're my sister, and Leia responds with what, right? I know. Somehow I've always known, because she's always instinctually, intuitively known, right? But it's been suppressed. So Laurie knows this, but she never was able to figure out how to be able to connect those dots. Like, this is going some deep meta shit here, right? But you need to do that. In a Halloween movie, if you're going to actually end the movie, then you need to bring, I believe, these kind of layers into it, because if you don't, then you're just ending a movie the way you've always ended it. His eyes open, you hear his breathing, a hand comes. It's the same shit we've seen before. And maybe some of you guys like that, and that's cool. But when you have it as Sandy, it's Sandy is on the surface, she's on the surface now, she's there to bait Michael to the house. On the surface. But that's not what her role really is. Her role really is to speak to Laurie without speaking. And Laurie, finding her in the closet, seeing that she looks like Judith, it starts flooding to Laurie. Oh my God. You know, she's beginning to realize not only I can use this girl, but it's the different layers that this girl is speaking to Laurie non-verbally. Because you can't look at Judith Myers without thinking of the Myers house. And you can't look at Judith Myers without thinking of Judith's bedroom. And it's at that moment that Laurie is beginning to realize how evil needs to be brought down, right? How the shape must be brought down. And of course, those details would, like, again, if you were to flesh out this movie even fuller, there would be things throughout the narrative that bring it all home at the end, right? But that's what's going on there. And that's why I think it's the best move to make. And then you add another layer, right? This girl, even though she's not Judith Myers, clearly, she looks so much like her that the audience, on some sort of subconscious level, almost believes in some psychological way that they're watching Laurie and Judith take down Michael Myers. It works on that level. Even though it's not Judith in the literal sense, in the symbolic sense, it is. Do you know what I mean? And then you think, well, how did she survive? Did Michael go into the room, see her, see that she looked like his sister Judith, and then sacrifice her? We don't know, right? Was she so good at hiding that she escaped the shape? We don't know, right? And we're never going to know those things. That's the magic of how fate works. It works in mysterious. We don't know. All we know is that girl was there at that time, at that moment, for a reason. And it hit Laurie, and it was like, oh my God, and she always knew that she was probably going to die, and she was using Sandy to bait Michael, but it wasn't about Sandy and Michael. It was really about Sandy and Laurie. And it would not have worked with Allison, because Laurie would not have looked at Allison and thought of the Myers house. She would not have looked at Allison and thought of Judith's bedroom. It's all about speaking to her through symbolism, right? And there's nothing that reminds Laurie of the Myers house by looking at her granddaughter, Allison. So that's why it wasn't Allison. So I have this really cool shot in my head. Do you remember when Sandy looks over the railing to see Laurie and the shape on the police car and the fire and shit like that, and the flames are sort of, glowing on her face? Like, it's so cool to think about that, right? Like, to think that, oh my God, like, it's almost as if we're watching Judith. And again, it's the symbolism of that, of what it all means, that it began in her bedroom. That is where you could make the argument, here's another layer. You can make the argument that is where he ceased being a boy and he became the shape. You could make that. It is where his first murder took place, as far as we know. So that is where he or it has to be brought down. So anyway, so that is what the ending is all about. Now, that doesn't mean that some of you are going to like that ending. Maybe you're big Allison fans and you wanted more with Allison. That's fine. but it would not have worked with Allison to speak to Laurie, unless you were to reconstruct the narrative in a completely different way, but you would have to go back to the very beginning in order to do that, and then you're changing the fundamental foundation of my story, which I don't want to do. I think, for me, again, I just didn't find Allison and Karen that interesting to want to explore them further. I don't think David Gordon Green did a good enough job to make me really care about Allison. I really thought she was wasted, really. And so, it's not that Sandy character. It's not there to elicit an emotional response from the audience. It's not there to, bait Michael, really. I mean, she is, but that's a surface thing. It's the speaking to Laurie. So, that's kind of what it is. Not kind of what it is. That is what it is. Hey, a super chat just came in from Kevin Fishgull. Thanks, Kevin. I think there's more to the shape in Allison than we're led to believe. He left her, who was locked in the back seat with him. In the back seat with him to get Sartain. Yeah. You know what? That is probably something that they're going to explore. Although I would imagine that the real reason why, let's be honest, the real reason why he didn't kill her was because David Gordon Green wants to utilize the character of Allison in a sequel. So, that's probably the reason why. But it's great to see that a lot of you guys were understanding that's the direction that I went in my concept, because that's what I believe. And that's not to say that Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends won't be satisfying. I have no idea what they've written. I really don't. But in my mind, if you're going to end the series, then you need to end it on a very strong philosophical note. And then, of course, there's the scene there, right, with Tommy walking along the sidewalk the same way that happened 40 years ago, but with Laurie, and he's standing, in front of the house or where the house used to be, and like just bringing it all home like that. And then with Dr. Loomis's line, "You think you fooled them, Michael, but not me." And you just plant that seed. A lot of people were like, but wouldn't it work better if there was a little bit of breathing? No, because you don't want to literally say that he's alive. You want to do it philosophically. You want to do it as a concept in the mind of the viewer. It's very deep stuff, guys. And I know that traditionally slasher films like this don't have that kind of thing. But when you implement a little bit of a layer like that, it actually helps the story. It helps it feel richer and more complete. And imagine imagine if that really was the ending of the entire series. And I don't want to speak for anybody, okay? I'm a little biased, I guess, because I came up with the concept, so I think it's really cool. But for me, if that is how Halloween actually ended, I'd be like, that's great. I'd feel totally satisfied with that. And I know what you think. Yeah, but you don't want it to go on anyway. No, but it really does. From a story perspective, it feels like a complete arc. But you leave the audience going, oh shit, why did they have that at the end of the movie? Right? You know what I mean? Because you got to keep the anonymity there. That's his MO. Did he survive? I don't know. We'll never know. So kind of cool shit. I would love to know what some of your favorite moments in the concept were. So feel free to pipe in and let me know. Cale Haynes says, do you feel like introducing Tommy Doyle and Lee Brackett so close together is too much too soon? It would depend. If I actually wrote this, great question, by the way, and thank you for it. If I actually wrote a screenplay, then I might come to that conclusion. I might think, you know what, let me introduce Tommy somewhere else. You know what I mean? I like the idea of Brackett being the guy driving the truck. Now, I know some of you may like the idea of it being Michael Myers or something like that. But I like the idea that it's somebody we don't expect at all. And then, you get to know Brackett throughout the second film. He was in the first movie. You never saw him, but he was driving around in that truck, right? Trying to find the shape. And then we see him in this film. And he's a curmudgeon old kind of guy now, and 80 years old, and he himself has become sort of what Laurie did. He's lived his whole life there. His wife is dead, and he's gone. He's moved out of that house. He's in another house now that he's been in for who knows how long, but he's got all these guns, and he's been waiting for that night. And Laurie and him, I love the character. I love that is what Lee Brackett would be. Tommy there's always room for Tommy to change around a bit. But I loved beginning the movie with Tommy and having it, which, by the way, some people have said that why don't, instead of writing, do you remember on the piece of paper, Laurie writes, you can't kill the boogeyman. Great idea. Would have to change a couple things, but that's that. See, I like the way you guys think. That's a great idea, right? Or you have it say, do you remember? You keep it like that. But then as Tommy is staring out the gaping hole, he just kind of says to himself, you can't kill the boogeyman. You know what I mean? Like, that's great. See what I mean? There's so many different ways you can play it. And that's the fun of laying out a first draft and a blueprint, because then you go back and you go, okay, you know what? Instead of doing it like that, let's do it like that. Really great stuff. Let's see here. Super chat from Brandon Berry. Thank you, Brandon. Mine was, this is for Annie. Loved it. Yeah, do you want to know why I thought of this is for Annie? Because I think it was in Halloween 2 when Brackett, was it Halloween 2? Yeah, I think it was Halloween 2 when Brackett's like, you let him out! You let him out! And just the way he was saying, out! You let him out! You know, as I was thinking about that moment with him and Myers in my concept, I picture him kind of saying it like, this is for my Annie! You know, kind of the same kind of way, with the same kind of force. So that's what sort of came to my mind when I was writing that, because it is. Annie was his only daughter, and he's been obsessed with this. He probably, look, here's another thing. When Laurie finds Sandy in the closet, who's to say that Brackett doesn't also think she kind of looks like Judith? Now, Sandy is not speaking to Brackett symbolically, okay? That's for Laurie. But Brackett could also look at her, and you could see a moment where he's kind of like, you know, wow, right? Like, it's uncanny, because Brackett would have been alive. He wouldn't have been the sheriff, although he might have been. Well, it was 15 years. He might have been a young cop on the force when it happened, right? Who's to say Brackett wasn't a young cop on the force and was one of the officers there that night, right? And he knows the Judith Myers thing really well, right? Like, there's so many there's so much more details we can add to it, right? Stephen Doherty says, when the shape kills the sheriff, that's my favorite moment. Yeah, a lot of people seem to really like that when he takes down Sheriff Barker. I knew I wanted to get rid of Barker. And then I saw some comment was like, why'd the black guy have to die first? I'm like, oh God, really? Because he's a shitty character. I couldn't give a frog's fat ass whether he's black or Asian or white or I don't care. He's a shitty character. The actor is very talented. Really like the guy who played him. But the character just did nothing for me. So I want to get rid of him. So that's what I did. But I wanted to do it in epic fashion. I wanted to give Sheriff Barker an epic kill. And that's what I did. And I can just see that shot being really iconic. The two of them silhouetted against, the tree trunks and the lightning and the rain and stuff. Just really, really wanted to utilize the shape in its purest form, because this is the last Halloween movie as we know it. That doesn't mean that maybe they don't make a sequel to Halloween 4, or they don't reboot it altogether 5 years from now. But connected to that first movie in 1978, when I was thinking of my ideas, I thought, well, we gotta, this is it. You gotta bring your A game. If we're gonna do it, now's the time to do it. And it's okay to have a little bit of fan service, here and there, as long as it feels justified, because this is it, right? This is the swan song, this is the farewell concert. Let's do it. Let's play it up. So that's why. But yeah, a lot of people really love that moment. The Manhammer AR-15 says, Dave, what if they make another Halloween after H ends, creating a new slasher icon? You mean like connected to the Halloween universe? I don't know. Well, then you're saying that it would go the anthology route. I think it would be cool to explore old Charlie Bowles in Russellville. You've heard me say that 1,000 times. I think that would be cool. I'd be down for that. Let's see here. A couple of super chats came in, I think. Okay. Just want to get these super chats so I don't forget. Oh, I guess they were back a bit further. I'm sorry. Oh, there we are. Roger House. Thanks, Roger. Says, loved your movie. You should make posters. Well, I do. The one here on my screen, which would be right. How are you guys seeing me? Here? Either side of me. I can't remember now. Yeah, over here, I think. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, no, here. Yeah, right there. Right there. That's kind of a cool little thing. Ethan LeBlanc. Thank you, Ethan. Much appreciated. My favorite things, Brackett warning the town with the live camera and the long single shot of the three of them following Michael's trail of death. Both genius ideas. I could see it all in my mind. Yeah, there was somebody that said, well, wait a minute, wasn't the power out when Brackett was doing, like, how would people see this? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, it was. But there's a detail that you just go, okay, well, it comes back on for 30 seconds or something, right? In storms, powers will go out and then they'll come back on and you're like, oh, yay, the power is on. And then it goes out like a minute later and you're like, fuck, right? That happens all the time, right? So who's to say that that doesn't happen here? A little convenient? Yes. But I'm playing to the cinematic sort of, feel of the entire thing. There's that kind of shit happens all the time. So that's an easy fix. But the long shot. Yeah. Oh my God. As soon as I was thinking, I really like the tracking shot in the 2018 film. I like that shot. But I don't like the fact that we can see Michael so clearly. I think it feels weird to actually see his process when we're so used to seeing the end result of his process. And not just the end result in terms of seeing the death, but to see him suddenly come out, and kill. Or it just felt... And of course, we're seeing him too clearly. I think if we had not seen him so clearly, I think seeing his process would have felt a little better, because it really comes down to how he was utilized in the lighting. And I was going to have a similar tracking shot in my movie idea. But then I thought, what if during this mayhem, because Laurie, Brackett, and Tommy are hot on the heels of The Shape, or at least they think they are, right? And they're going from door to door. What if there was like a 3-minute scene? And does that take a lot of work? Yes, it does. Does it take quite a few rehearsals? Yes, it does. Does it take quite a few things to be firing on all cylinders for that to work? Yes, it does. I mean, the tracking shot they shot in the 2018 film, Marion Singh told me they shot that 11 times. So it's like, it takes a lot of work, right, to get it just right. And you also want to do it, you also want to have at least 2 or 3 good takes as well, so you have 2 or 3 to choose from. But I just thought, we've never seen that before in a Halloween film. Instead of following The Shape, we're following Brackett, Laurie, and Tommy as one shot. Through a house, out of the house, into a yard, through the fog, right? The moonlight, over the fence, into a yard, through another house. We're seeing all the carnage and shit. Maybe you hear, help me, and Brackett's like, it's okay. I got one here. But the camera keeps going, right? It's like, oh my God, goosebumps even thinking about it. There's something just like, to know that The Shape is out there somewhere, it just feels so eerie and creepy, and we've never seen it from that perspective. And I just picture like the back of Laurie's head, seeing her long hair, and she's still got her arm kind of in a sling, and then maybe there's a moment where she takes it off because she's like, fuck it, like she can't have, she needs that other arm or something, and she's got a bandage here where she's got all these, stitches or whatever the fuck is there. It'd be amazing. It'd be an amazing shot. It really would be. Garada K7 says, I know you didn't mean it, but I got homages in your concept previous films to the series. Very cool, my dude. Oh, no doubt. Listen, I've seen a lot of people say that they got kind of a Halloween 4 vibe there. Some people said that... Some people even said, I don't know where, probably the Sandy thing at the end. Some people were like, they got a little bit of a Halloween 5 vibe. Certainly not in tone. There's nothing in tone in my film that is Halloween 5 whatsoever. Some even said Part 6, which is very true. I don't like Part 6 at all, really. But it's head over. It's above and beyond what part 5 was. And there's some nice mood and atmosphere in part 6. So definitely there's more similarities in terms of the rain and the storm and the lightning and things like that in part 6 than there is in part 5. But again, that Sandy thing at the end it's not just a girl that's being baited, right? There's all those layers that we talked about. Without her, Laurie may not have been able to do what she did, because nothing wouldn't have, because what would have triggered her? What would have spoken to her? And it connects to the fate. It's that connection to the first movie, right? It brings it full. Man, I get goosebumps just talking about it. I wish I had the rights. I wish I had the money. I wish they would hire me to write it and do the film, because I'd do it for you guys. I would. Obviously, they're not going to instill that kind of a production in me, but I'm just saying that I would do it. And some people are saying, well, why don't you do it as a fan film? Guys, to do that idea as a fan film, it's a several $1 million picture. I mean, you got to have the pyrotechnics of the fire, and you got to have the rain, and you got to have, just that alone. I mean, listen, to shoot It's Me, Billy, right? That little short black Christmas fan film I'm in development on. Just to shoot that's probably going to cost $20,000. Just that, right? So you can imagine what doing this would be like. I love the passion, but maybe I could do a scene. I might be able to do a scene, but to actually do a whole thing, oh my God, would just be insane. I need to raise like $5 million. Let's see here. Bobby Hall. Hey, Bobby, what's going on? Yeah, the tracking shot was like, hey, remember this in Halloween 2? Here's another one. Look how cool. Yeah, it was kind of like that. And I just, like, the shot was really well executed, but I just think it would be cool to have it reversed. And instead of following the shape, you're following the good guys. That would be amazing. Let's see here. Some super chats came in. You guys are awesome. Don't want to miss them here. Universe 7 Gaming says, Dave, my idea for the ending is Allison in a classroom in the exact same seat as Laurie in 1978. She looks out the window and sees Myers in the same way she's in 1978. She closes her eyes and he's gone. Hey, if you want to be more literal about it, then I think that's a cool ending. Absolutely. I wouldn't have gone that way because I want to be a little more philosophical about it. And I don't want to do anything that literally says he could be around. But if you want to do it that way, there's no doubt that there'd be a lot of people that would be on board with that, because yeah, that's cool. Chad Zorn, thank you, Chad, for the super chat, says, how about Sandy being in Judith's bathroom, not the bedroom? Then we see through Michael's eyes a replay of the 1963 Judith scene, but just as he goes to stab her, Laurie why would she be in the bathroom? I'm not sure why she would be in the bathroom. Judith wasn't killed in the bathroom. It would make no sense logically to have Judith in the bathroom, because Judith was never in the bathroom to begin with. She was murdered in her bedroom, and that's where he murdered her. So that's why Laurie uses Sandy, convinces her, to stand in the middle of the room. There's so many ways you could have her there. You could have her sitting. You could have her. I thought about having her sitting doing this, faking it, right, on the ground, but it felt a little too close to Halloween 5 for me. So that's why I just had her sort of standing in the room. And how eerie would that be with the moonlight coming through the window in this dark room? The door opens and there's like Judith Myers almost. It's like, oh my God, right? But yeah, I don't... I just not understanding why she would be in the bathroom. I wouldn't do that because it has to be in the bedroom. But I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. Let's see here. I thought there was another one. Did I miss one? There it is. It's from the same person, Chad Zorn. In the original, Laurie ripped his mask off too. Weakened him a little so Loomis could shoot. That's very true. Then Michael becomes more human and can be killed. Then we wonder if the evil died where he left off. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm not a big fan of what you're saying there. I know what you're saying. But you know what? Write it down. Make your own. Like, I encourage you. Hey, it's a lot of work, but make your own, right? Make your own concept where that happens. I'm just not quite sure why Judith would be in the bathroom, unless I'm completely missing something. I don't recall her ever being in the bathroom in the original. So I just don't understand the significance of the bathroom. Unless you just want her in another room and Laurie is in another room I'm not sure. But again, thank you for the support. It's much appreciated. The A button says, if Brian Andrews can't come back, are you okay with recasting? Oh, well, yeah, because what else are you going to do? But it's got to be somebody that I buy into that looks like it could be Tommy Doyle now. Like, and the example I use is when I did my little Halloween fan short a few years ago. I hired a mutual friend who was also an actor, heavyset guy named William Reel. Well, when you look at him, the reason why I cast him was because I totally buy that he could be that Tommy Doyle now. Some people are saying, well, what about Seth Green? Seth Green is actually not a bad choice. Now, he's a few years younger than what Tommy would be. Tommy would be about 49, 40 years later, or 50. Seth Green is about 45, but he certainly could play somebody who's 48 or, 49. Definitely looks like that could be the same guy. But I'm not okay with Paul Rudd for two reasons. This is not your timeline. And, well, actually, it is Halloween 6 was that timeline, but Halloween 6 doesn't exist anymore. So and Paul Rudd looks nothing like Brian Andrews. You would never look at that kid and then look at Paul Rudd and go, oh yeah, that's the natural, evolutionary progression of that human. No way at all. And Paul Rudd's far too expensive. Brian Andrews, you could probably get on the cheap. He would do it like that if he was asked, I'm sure. Maybe not. But if you're not going to get him, or if he doesn't want to, you go with somebody who looks like they could be Brian Andrews today. And it's got to be, and Seth Green would be hard to get because you'd have to pay an arm and a leg for him. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. Bob McFucker Cakes. Oh, I saw your super chat, Bob. Where'd you go here? There you are. Listen to it drinking beers and around a fire pit. Oh, cool. Awesome. Were you alone or were you with anybody else? Let's see here. Turbo Man says, original Halloween 2 sucked. I'm sorry. I've always thought that. That's great. I think the original Halloween 2 is far inferior to the original Halloween. 100%. But it's always been my favorite sequel. I think it's largely better. I think it's better than the rest of the sequels, to be honest with you. But I think it's far inferior to the original. But if you don't like it on any level, that's all right. I can't take that away from you. Let's see here. Another super chat came in. Chad Zorn again. Chad, sorry, Dave. I just meant that we see her through Michael's eyes. The Judith scene from 1963 when he sees Sandy, then Laurie attack. Oh, yes. No, I understood that part. I just didn't understand why you had her in the bathroom. Because Judith was not killed in the bathroom. She was killed in her bedroom, sitting at the mirror. Maybe you always thought that was the bathroom. It wasn't the bathroom. Let's see here. Oliver Mercer says, I put in a super chat a while ago, Dave. Oh, thanks, Oliver. Hey, yeah. Guys, if you ever put in a super chat and a significant amount of time has gone by and you see me answering the others and I haven't answered yours, always let me know because there's like 272 people in the room and it's easy to miss. So let me go back here, Oliver. Let's see here. I want to see if I get it. Okay, it's got to be here somewhere. Ah, there it is. Yes. All right. I got you, Oliver. Hey, Dave, your film was absolutely brilliant. Did you ever want to include Ben Tramer in your film? I love the moment where the shape was in and out of the darkness along with the build up to its end. Thank you for the super chat, Oliver, and your question. Ben Tramer. I think it's important to understand that there were some people that said, in your idea, why didn't you bring back Lindsay Wallace? Why didn't you bring back Ben Tramer? Why did you not bring back, I don't know. Like, I think it's important to understand that I believe there's only now, okay. If you're doing what Blumhouse is doing and you're doing 2 movies, you have breathing room, right? So you can introduce a couple of characters in Halloween Kills and introduce maybe another character in Halloween Ends, and it doesn't feel convoluted or claustrophobic because you have the breathing room. But in my concept of The Shape, it's 1 movie. So if I start introducing Tommy, Brackett, Lindsay, Ben Tramer, if I start introducing everybody, it might get a little claustrophobic, right? Or a little, sorry, not Yeah, I guess you could say that because of all the people, right? You're like this. I think it's best that you introduce one, maybe two characters and just leave it at that. And I thought Brackett and Tommy were the most interesting. As much as I like Lindsay, Lindsay has no connection to Laurie. Now, okay, to be fair, she was there at the very end, okay? But Tommy was the one that was babysitting. And it's not that you couldn't introduce the Lindsay Wallace character. You absolutely could. But I think between the two, between Lindsay and Tommy, I think Tommy edges Lindsay out just a bit more. So I chose Tommy instead of Lindsay. I think you could have a Halloween film where you bring back Tommy and it's not weird that Lindsay's not there. But I think it would be weird to have a Halloween film with Lindsay but not Tommy. Does that make sense? I think you can do the reverse, but I'm not so sure you can do the other. And that's why I brought back Tommy and not Lindsay. But Ben Tramer, I settled on Lonnie Elam and Cameron because I knew I wanted to get rid of them, right? And I thought that was kind of a fun way to do it. Let's see here. Super chat, Kevin Fishgull. I'm interested on how the shape looks. Burnt, mass melt to his face, etc. I love your opening. No music, just fire crackling. You're the man. I'm the man. Apparently, I'm the man. Oh yeah, no, for sure. In my concept, there would definitely be the shape's mask would be burned. Maybe some of the hair back here off a little bit, but it wouldn't change the fundamental look. There was a great, I forget the gentleman's name. Maybe he's in the chat room now or watching after the fact. I believe he did this a little while ago, but he sent me via Instagram a concept piece of art of the shape's mask sort of burnt a bit with his hair gone, and it looks like he's standing in the forest. It totally could be I don't think it is, because I think it was created before I dropped my video, but it totally looks like it could be concept art for my film The Shape. And it would be something like that. It would be like kind of hair's kind of gone here, the mask is a bit burnt, but it still looks like the mask. He still looks like Michael Myers. It would be that kind of thing. And then there were some people that were like, but how did he escape Laurie's basement? Like, I need to know. You didn't say anything. No, you don't need to know. Yes, I do. I need to know. No, you don't. Dave, I need to know. No, you don't. But I need to know. No, you want to know. You don't need to know. He got out. How? I don't know. It helps preserve the anonymity and the ambiguous enigma that is the shape. He got out. Use Occam's razor, right? Think about it. How did he get out? He probably found an opening somewhere, really, right? He didn't, dematerialize and pop up, somewhere else, even though the shape appears to have those qualities. He's not literally doing that or walking through walls. We know that. So there was probably, to see his process, to see him getting out diminishes the mystique of the character. And even just mentioning it as an off-the-cuff remark diminishes it a little bit. Not as much as it would be as if you saw the shape, but it diminishes a little bit. So that's why I'm like, we don't know. He got out. How? I don't fucking know, man. What the fuck are we going to do? Works better that way, in my opinion. Let's see here. David Johnson says, do you have any thoughts on Michael's post-fire physical appearance? Oh, we were just talking about that. Cool. Grave Warmer, thank you for the super chat, Grave. Love the poster image. Any possibility I can get my hands on it in poster form? One of my fave moments was Barker on the show. Oh, sure. Yeah, just go to my Facebook page, not my personal Facebook page, but the one connected to this YouTube account, which is in the comments, in the description there, which is facebook.com/manythingsdave McRae. But I think you're probably there. Oh yeah, no, you're a part of it, I think. Send me a message there, and I'll fire off a high res. I'll try to anyway. Fire off. I hope I saved it as a high res, because I don't think the one here is high res. I think it's just like 72 DPI or something like that, because it's all you need for the web. But I'll see what I can do. Let's see here. Ba-dum-bum-ba. Wayne Downey says, my favorite part is your voice acting on Brackett's line. Yeah, I was just trying to, feel out, because I met Charles Cyphers actually last year at the convention, and he was he was a funny, I wanted to interview him. It was so funny. He says to me, and he's there with his that's so patronizing. Excuse me. He was there with his handler. I just mean it was a cute kind of thing to see, right? Because he was, quipping back and forth with her. So it was just kind of fun to see. But so